I'd like to welcome everybody here and welcome to the new start time for our county commission meetings, 5 o'clock. Turn my microphone on. I always forget something as I start these meetings, but again, welcome to everybody for being here. And as you see, we are working on a new start time for county commission meetings, 5 o'clock is start time. So I'd like to call to order the 28 November 2022 Jackson County Commission meeting. Again, welcome everybody. At this time, I'd like Mr. Manning, our county administrator, to please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gully, Mr. Kimmer,
Here.
Mr. Buckner,
Present.
Mr. McBride.
Present. We do have a quorum. If everyone would please stand, would like to ask Chief Deputy Rocky Hornan to offer our invocation, and I will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father God, we bow in reverence to you, to give you thanks for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon us. Father, we give thanks for the blessings of this beauty of this country, of this county, and the state. Father, we thank you for those that have fought to defend it and the freedoms that they've given us. Father, we pray for each and every person that gives service to other people. We ask you to be with each and every man here today, these commissioners and chairmen, as they make decisions that affect the citizens of Jackson County. Father, now we ask you to bless this meeting, be with us always, and we ask this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In your packet is an agenda for today's meeting. We have been asked to add an item to the agenda, and that item is with the Revenue Commission, and it is regarding a post-retirement employment contract option. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition to work session item D, Revenue Commission for post-retirement employment contract?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. At this time also, we'd like to ask, do we have any awards or presentations to be made tonight? If not, we will then move to public comments. Do we have public comment? May I see the sheet, please? Yes, sir. So, Ms. Carrie Lee? Okay. If you would please come forward. We have a microphone here for you. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, I think, as I always do. To state your full name, please.
Carrie Lee.
And who are you representing tonight?
Community Action Agency of Northeast Alabama.
Community Action Agency. Okay. Ms. Lee, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. I just wanted to take a minute of your time this afternoon to let you all know and thank you for what you all do for our agency. We are a nonprofit agency, been around for 50 plus years. And we have an office over in Scottsboro that is in your building off of John T. Reed Parkway off of Highway 72. So we really appreciate that you allow us to be in your building. It really helps us. Miss Norma Harvey, you probably all know her more than you would know me. I am the executive director, but she's the case manager and has been for 50 years. She took care of a lot of folks in Jackson County, so we really appreciate her and the work that she's done for our agency. So I just wanted to just kind of let you know about our agency if you haven't been aware. Like I said, we're a nonprofit agency. We help the Jackson County residents that are income eligible with things like utility assistance, food assistance, and such things as that. We also have weatherization, where we go in and weatherize homes to make them more energy efficient. We do a lot of case management, intense case management to try to help people become more self-sufficient. So a lot of different programs. We probably the biggest population we serve in Jackson County are elderly. So we're proud of that. And I just brought some pamphlets that I wanted to leave with you to let you know just the amount of money that we are putting back into Jackson County and the amount of people that we're helping. So last year, in our fiscal year of 2022, we just started fiscal year 23 in November. So from last October to this past October, we spent $1.39 million in Jackson County. And that is in state and federal assistance in the amount of that 1.39. And so that was a total of 2,214 individuals and 1,253 households. So I just kind of wanted to let you know the impact that we're making in your county, and we appreciate your support and all that you do for us. Tonight, I believe it is on your agenda. I haven't looked, I didn't get a copy of it, but Mr. Nance, we had talked, and we need a board member. So because we receive a state block grant, we have to have a tripartite volunteer board. So Danny Rich has been that appointee for the last few years. And with his term being out, and you have a new one in, it's whoever that you all vote to represent you. So we have to have a third of our volunteer board has to be public officials. So we appreciate the support from the county commission, and if you could appoint someone to fill his position, that would be great. So I appreciate it. Anyone
Okay.
have any questions?
And you may stick around. I'll allow questions here, but I will tell you that on our agenda tonight is to appoint
Okay, great.
a commission member to your board.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lee, what is the criteria for receiving assistance?
The criteria is the number of people in the household and their gross income.
Any other questions, comments? Well, Ms. Lee, thank you very much. And by the way, I have had a chance to read some of your reports, and I will say thank you for the great work that your agency is doing for Jackson County, and truly appreciate the work, the volunteerism, and on behalf of all of us, I will say thank you for that. Okay, if there are no additional comments, we will move into the meeting portion of our agenda. And we do have a busy agenda tonight, in new business as well as in our work session agenda. We have several hires to consider tonight. We have a couple of board positions to be filled tonight. And we have also some activity to take up on behalf of some of our departments in the county. So first on the agenda, in your packet, you do have the minutes of the October 24th, 2022 meeting and the work session and the November 16th, 2022 meeting. I realize that a couple of our commissioners were not here for the 24 October meeting, but we do have a quorum to vote that approval of that meeting. So at this time, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 24th, 2022 meeting and the work session?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. To have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 16th, 2022 meeting?
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. In our last work session, we had a discussion of approving December the 23rd and December the 30th as additional holidays for 2022. Traditionally, we approve those days before our Christmas and New Year's period as holidays for our county employees. Do I have a motion to approve December the 23rd, 2022 and December the 30th, 2022 as additional holidays for 2022?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? And no further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is our recommended holidays for 2023. Every end of November every year we approve the following year's holidays. We discussed those in our last work session. That list of recommended holidays is in your packet. It is consistent with the state holidays with the exception of Good Friday, which we have traditionally observed here. Do I have a motion to approve the holiday schedule, the Jackson County holiday schedule for 2023?
I'll make that.
We have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We were notified about a month ago about an update on our Forever Wild, and there's a resolution to start reimbursing counties that there are Forever Wild lands within the counties on an amount per acre for the number of acres that are in our county. We have 29,180.5 acres in Jackson County. And so the Forever Wild Board has recommended an annual allocation to our county of $46,688.80, and that would be for fiscal year 2023, and every year they would recompute the amount of acreage that they have in the county. We are required to pass a resolution. There are a number of other documentations that we're required to submit, and they have to be submitted by December the 30th for us to get the 2023 allocation. First in your package you will see a recommendation from Association of County Commissions of Alabama regarding the Forever Wild resolution. They are recommending in favor of that resolution, and they have been supportive of that with our state legislature. Next in your package you will see a letter from Commissioner Blankenship and regarding the proposed funding agreement for the Forever Wild Land Trust with Jackson County. It does require us to certain things from us. First, each county commission must register as a vendor in the state of Alabama. I believe we are therefore registered. And each county commission must generate and submit an invoice for the requested funds, submit a W-9 form, and must submit a documentation by December the 30th, 2022 for us to be eligible to receive the funding. Also in the packet is a resolution, the proposed resolution, and a memorandum of understanding between Forever Wild and Jackson County that we will be required to sign. So with that, do I have a motion to approve signing the resolution and MOU for Alabama Forever Wild Land Trust?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions?
The only question, concern, and looking through it, I didn't see where anything changed. But is there any difference in the access to these lands or any current usage of these lands that would be altered by this agreement?
No, and in fact, the agreement that we signed assures continuation of use of the lands as currently are used, and it further states it is working in support of counties in terms of cooperation to accomplish the goals that they have set for the use of the lands in the purpose of identifying, acquiring, managing, protecting, and preserving natural lands and waters that are of environmental or recreational importance for the benefit of future generations.
And is any way this money tied to any project have to be spent in a certain way, or does it go to our general fund?
No, it does not in this agreement specify that we have to spend the money other than for county use. Any other questions, comments?
That's all.
Okay, good questions, thanks very much. So if there's no further question or discussion, all in favor say aye. Motion carries, thank you. And $46,000 is certainly beneficial and helpful to Jackson County. In our last commission meeting, there was discussion of purchase of 2 Kenilworth T480 trucks for our solid waste department. I'd like to turn the floor over again to our Director of Solid Waste just as an update on these trucks.
So as we spoke before, we are in a pretty good bind with trucks, and we're in the process of getting newer trucks in so we can begin a rotation and have a better fleet, so we're not throwing good money at bad products. We have an opportunity to get 2 trucks to us by September. I've got to get them a PO just as soon as I can get it to them to secure those trucks. Any questions about them or anything of that nature, I'll be glad to answer.
All right, so in your request, you've listed your fleet here, and you've got 3 that are marked out of service. Do you anticipate those back, or are you looking to sell those, or what?
If I could get them back, I would sell them. Yeah, I would love to get them in the rotation. As soon as we can get them repaired, we'll use them until the time comes that I can get them auctioned off.
Okay.
And I can recoup some of the money from those, but I can't begin turning those old trucks until I get something to replace them.
So we've got about a year to wait until we
Yeah.
can get the 2 new trucks. So I'd like to ask County Administrator, we've taken a look at the funding for this in regards to our solid waste department, and so we believe that we have funds available for the purchase.
Looking at the current cash balance and the budget for the upcoming year, we should be good with that.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions? With that, do I have a motion to approve the purchase of 2 trucks for our solid waste department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have several hires to consider tonight. First in your package you have a letter from our county engineer, Mr. Campbell. It is requesting approval to hire to fill a vacant HMT1 position in our Public Works Department. The HMT recommendation was set to pay at grade 4, step 1, that's $13.06 an hour. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for vacant HMT1 position at Public Works Department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second, any discussion? No further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, thank you. Next on the agenda is hiring committee's recommendation to fill vacant maintenance lead position at Public Works. The committee has met and makes a recommendation, and this recommendation would set the pay at grade 8, step 7 at $19.69 an hour. Do I have a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for vacant maintenance lead position at Public Works Department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion or question? No further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. As you know, we've been trying to fill our bus driver positions at Council of Aging, and so we do have a recommendation from hiring committee for to fill a vacant bus driver position at Council of Aging. It'll be a public transit bus driver, and the position would be set at a grade 2, step 1 at $11.62 per hour. This is a recommendation from Director of Council of Aging, Mr. Chad Coleman. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring committee's recommendation for vacant bus driver position at the Council of Aging?
I'll make that.
Have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. At our last meeting, work session, we had discussions about two projects, water projects in the county that ADEM, one has been approved, one is in discussion with our DeKalb Jackson Water Authority for approval. The first of these is the Pisgah water project. They have been approved by ADEM for, I believe, $375,000 amount, and ADEM will fund $1 million of that project, and has asked that you meet matching funds with the rest. The commission nearly a year ago met with the water authorities, and in that meeting we agreed that we would set aside some of our ARPA money to help this process of matching funds around the county with our water authorities. So we're starting to see some approvals and the opportunity to improve water or get new water services to portions of our county. So this is good news for us, in my view, certainly. We have in the packet the request from Pisgah for our assistance and providing some funding for matching funds. Also in the packet, you will see a resolution. We have worked with the Invest in Alabama counties. They support our efforts here to support our water projects. It is a resolution giving us authority to provide ARPA funds, county ARPA funds as matching funds, and to sign an agreement with Pisgah in allocation of money to support their water project. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the funding for Pisgah water project using ARPA funds, and to approve signing the resolution authorizing allocation expenditure of ARPA funds for the Pisgah water project?
I make that motion that we approve funding for Pisgah water project using ARPA funds, approve signed resolution authorizing allocation and expenditure of ARPA funds up to a set amount.
Up to $200,000
Yes.
is the recommended.
To $200,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? Okay, if no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Also, we discussed and by the way, let me say thank you for being here last week, our last meeting, and providing us information regarding this project that you're carrying out. So thank you. Also in the packet is a resolution that the Invest in Alabama counties has provided to us regarding the DeKalb Jackson Contact Clarifier Water Project. And this resolution would support our using ARPA funds as matching funds to that project, and would support our signing a resolution authorizing allocation of the ARPA funds for eligible water and sewer infrastructure projects. An update on where this is. I attended the board meeting for DeKalb Jackson Water Authority last week. ADEM has contacted them regarding the $3.6 million application that they submitted for the clarity pools, the clarifiers, and expressed support for that. But at the same time, they have asked the DeKalb Water Authority to also consider rolling into this another project that is within the DeKalb area, and would support DeKalb County citizens. First of all, the clarity pool clarifier supports 5,600 residents, households in Jackson and DeKalb County, with 3,500 households being in Jackson County and 2,100 households being in DeKalb County. They've had some problems with the water. It is okay to drink and to use, but it does have some residual cloudiness and bad taste and odor, and they're trying to upgrade the pool to take care of that. So their application for the clarifier would take care of that problem. The DeKalb-Jackson Water Authority has given the request from ADM to consider both as one project, has requested that not be done, that we keep the two projects separate, that the first and most important project is the $3.6 million request for the Clarity Pool. And once they clean up the water, then proceed with the other application to extend, I think this is to Deer Cove in DeKalb County. So at this point, the reason I give you this update, they're still in discussion between ADM and DeKalb-Jackson Water Authority on how they will approach approving this project. We've talked with IEC. IEC has given us a resolution that authorizes us to proceed to support. Again, the funding amount would be $200,000 from Jackson County. That would match $200,000 from DeKalb County and $200,000 from the DeKalb-Jackson Water Authority for the $3.6 million project for the Clarity Pool. So the IEC has given us a resolution authorizing us to proceed, but the contingency is that the ADM approve separately the $3.6 million Clarity project. So they are okay with us proceeding to approve this given that contingency. So with that, do I have a motion to approve funding for DeKalb-Jackson Contact Clarifier Water Project using ARPA funds and sign the resolution authorizing allocation of ARPA funds for eligible water and sewer infrastructure project? Again, the amount that we would consider is $200,000.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion?
And just for clarification, this is just for the clarifier project.
Yes, and if you look at the resolution that we signed, it is called out as such in the resolution. Okay, any further questions? If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, we have two board positions to fill tonight. First on the agenda is appointment to the Economic Development Authority Board. This fills an unexpired term, and this term will serve until June of 2023, at which time the position would have to be refilled and have to come back before the commission for appointment. We had sent out across the county a request for applications. We have 5 applications that were submitted. Mr. Travis Tubbs, Mr. Stacy Ledwell, Mr. Roy Light, Mr. Derek Wheeler, Rick Wheeler, and Mr. Sam Houston have submitted applications. I believe each have had a chance to look at the resumes that have been provided. Before we get to this, let me open for any discussion or questions regarding this application and board process. Any comments?
Just as a former member of the EDA board, it's quite a impactful, powerful board in the fact that it looks at tax abatements and projects that are coming in, and I know the board member that's leaving, he was very vital to a lot of the discussion because of his understanding of the infrastructure needs, the relationship with TVA, all the government implications of things, and so I just want to say, first and foremost, I hate that he's coming off the board, but I understand why he's chosen to resign. And so, and another comment that I'd like to make, we have 5 very good applicants. It's an honor to be choosing between such great individuals.
Any other comment, question? I would certainly agree that this is a critically important board position that we are considering tonight. If you look at appointments that are made to board, those appointments usually stay for many years. And so as we look at this, we consider that this looks across the whole county in terms of EDA. I did ask Mr. Lee, the director of EDA, if he could get here tonight to sort of explain EDA, what EDA does and what's the board responsibility. Unfortunately, he's out of town with a funeral, could not make it tonight. He said if the commission so chooses to wait, that he would come at some other time, but he could not make it tonight. So with that, do I have a motion of a nomination to appoint member to the Economic Development Authority Board?
I'd like to nominate Stacy Level.
We have a nomination to appoint Mr. Stacy Ledwell. Do I have a second?
Second nomination or a second nomination?
We have to have a second on the nomination.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
I would like to do a nomination, Mr. Chairman.
Let us vote this one first, and then we will consider others if this does not pass. I think that's the process that we've always used. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I question that, not for precedent's sake, but I mean, he stated that he wants to make an additional nomination. I mean,
Okay.
In the past, it's how we've done it, but I see either way.
yeah, I mean, I don't want us to write precedents, but I know I'd hate for us to limit ourselves to who could get their nominee first.
Right.
You know, not allow Mr. Gully to have his voice.
Okay, with that, I will open the floor for another nomination to be considered. We have Mr. Stacy Ledwell nominated. Do we have a second nomination?
Mr. Roy Light.
Okay, we have a nomination of Mr. Roy Light to be considered. Any other nominations? If not,
I'd like
go
to
ahead.
nominate Mr. Sam Houston.
Okay, we have Mr. Sam Houston nominated. Any others?
Do you get seconds on these?
I think we will take them as we come. That's what
I
I
think that's where we've messed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're not actually voting on nominations, we're voting on who we want.
And some of the other organizations I've been involved in, the way we've done is we open the floor for nominations. Then we had nominations, then we have someone to move to close nominations,
That's right.
and then you vote on them.
That's right.
Okay, we've had 3 nominations. Do I have a motion to close nominations?
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. We have closed nominations. At this time, we have consideration of Mr. Stacy Ledwell, Mr. Roy Light, Mr. Sam Houston. First nominated was Mr. Ledwell. We will go by voice vote. If you will call roll call vote.
Mr. Gully,
Nay.
Mr. Kittemer,
I'll second it, so yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
yes?
Mr. Butler,
I'm going to vote for Mr. Ledwell, yes.
You voted yes?
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Okay, we have 3 yeses and a nay, so that carries. So the vote is 3-1, so our nominee and appointment will be Mr. Stacy Ledwell. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So with that, I need a motion to appoint Mr. Stacy Ledwell as a member to the Economic Development Authority Board.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So Mr. Ledwell will be appointed as an appointee to the EDA Board. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is a request to fill the position of the Community Action Agency Board. We are filling a board as being a position being vacated by Mr. Danny Rich. And that position is to be filled by a county commissioner. So do I have a nomination for appointment to the Community Action Agency Board?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner McBride for this position.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, if none, I have a motion to appoint Commissioner McBride to the Community Action Agency Board.
So moved.
We have a motion, have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. McBride, you will fill the position of as a commissioner appointee to the Community Action Agency Board.
I would be honored. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that concludes our new business portion of the agenda. We will now move into the work session portion of the agenda. We have a number of discussion items. First is from probate regarding a geographic information system. So if I could just...
Right here.
All right, sir.
I think actually, I think this come to you all from the Board of Registrars. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Nance, but there's an opportunity to get a little bit of funding from the state through the Secretary of State's office to provide for, I guess, GIS technology with the voting districts. As you guys know, I'm sure you do, we don't have legal descriptions for our voting districts, our precincts. There's no legal description. I think that's a requirement. I'm not sure. Wish Mr. Porter was here. He could answer that better than I. But the email from the ACCA tells that this is one of the big things is it's to help the voters be assigned to the proper district, which is done by the Board of Registrars. So I really look at this as a good opportunity for the county if you guys are willing to explore it. I think probably the biggest benefit will be to the Board of Registrars as they see that people are voting in the appropriate district. I'm not very smart with GIS, and I believe Jeff dabbles with it a little bit in his office, much more than I. Matter of fact, I believe Jeff's already provided the names of some companies to the Board of Registrars. Because the way that I understand this program, and I believe Misty's checked into it, is that you guys would have to bid this first, then you would present the contract you award. Actually, I believe it says that we're supposed to, myself and you all are supposed to jointly agree on a vendor, then that gets turned into the state for the reimbursement. Now, the money that they're giving is to help get this established, and then 1 year of maintenance. After that, it's all on you guys. Now, I know you probably wouldn't mind a bit, but I think Jeff's had a little bit of discussion with one of these companies, or some of these companies, about how much money this is possibly looking at, just based on other counties, right? Not necessarily, it's not really a quote, but it's what they've done in other counties.
Yeah. It's the company that we use for our GIS in mapping and appraisal. And they're KCS, they're the company that's doing it. They're the only company that's doing it right now. So I don't know how hard it would be to get a bid because they're the only company that's doing it. But what he's told me is they would, what the Secretary of State will pay for is the initial cost of the setup and, like Vic said, 1 year maintenance. And then it would be up to y'all to pick up the maintenance from then on. And I think I gave you the numbers, Mr. Nance, you have those,
I don't have them with me
but
at this time.
even if they paid for the cost to do it in 1 year maintenance, if you never did anything else, at least you've got a base map, and there it is, you know.
You guys have all saw the county commission district maps, right? With the lines on it. So the problem is, and there's been a couple of issues in the past, nobody knows how wide that line is. Nobody knows where that line's really at. If it's following this creek, is it one side, is it the middle? I mean, there's just a whole lot of unknowns. I think it's a great opportunity. I'm not gonna, because I won't be dealing with it, I'm not gonna tell you that I need this really bad, because I don't know that I'll ever lay a finger on it. But I think it's a really good opportunity for our county to explore it. I mean, it's a work session at the very least. I think Misty's done a little bit of communicating as best she can with it, so I think it's certainly something worth exploring.
Well, to me, it makes absolute sense, because there's been too many times where it's been questionable on which district someone was in, even people running for office. And so I think this would clarify things, because as you alluded to, even if we agree that there's a line, how thick is that line, and what exactly
is it following a contour? You don't really know. So if this is something that it could really start something, it could create something, you know, and then as we really hadn't changed. The only things that we've had changed since I've been working here, I've been here 23 years, not in this office, but I've been at the county for 23 years. Only things that we've really done is, back a long time ago, they split Pleasant Grove and Knapp Mountain into two, but there was never a line drawn. Now they're back into one now. And then a few years ago, they combined some in the valley. So they really just erased a line. So you hadn't had anything really difficult, anything really in-depth yet as far as changing a district line. You've only done those. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you have an actual way that you can look at it and say, yes, this is in this district, this precinct, or whatever.
And so is this something that could be adjustable if somebody builds a large subdivision somewhere, or there's confusing people?
So once it gets there, and the way that I understood it, that the training would actually be done to the board of registrars, for the board of registrars. It's not something that will be housed in our office. So if, you know, we've had house districts, house districts in the past changed, U.S. house districts with, I don't know their numbers, Mo Brooks, and what's the other congressman we got up here? Congressman Adderholt. Here recently, Congressman Adderholt's district kind of slipped into kind of Langston, Macedonia area, and now it's been moved back. So I just think having that capability where the board of registrars, when somebody goes to vote, because they've got some actual data to tell why you're getting the vote, the ballot that you're getting, and you're voting in this race. A lot of people want to vote in different races. You know, you see that a lot with county seat. You know, somebody wants to vote on the county board of education or whatever. So you need to know if you're in the district or not. Anything else?
Okay. And again, after the first year, the funding would be the responsibility of the
Yeah, you get the maintenance first year. You get it set up, then you'll get 1 year of maintenance, and then starting that second year is when the county would have to pick
Okay.
up.
Any idea on the cost?
I don't have it.
I do not have that with me tonight, so don't have that. So I think we need to bring that back to the commission, next commission meeting. We can put it on the agenda, new business, and have the cost of the maintenance cost there, and consider and have that as part of this. Okay to put it on new business for our next meeting?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, commission, a couple of items. First, again, for reference, we have the allocation, the prior plan allocation of ARPA funds for Jackson County. Remember, we had $10,027,000. We have allocated some of those funds for fees, premium pay, water projects. Now we have allocated, given tonight's water projects, about $757,000 roughly, which leaves us a little over $1.2 million of water projects for money to help with water projects. We funded a rescue squad door, which serves as a overflow whenever we're doing vaccinations or testing at the hospital. Then we have courthouse security. That package is being released. We approved last meeting, that's roughly $250,000. And we're in the process of getting bids in on the HVAC for the courthouse, estimated about $1.7 million. So total, that's about 5.3 million of the 10 million committed thus far. In the plan that we had considered, we were looking at the courthouse structure. We have had a number of, we've had engineering firms and architectural firms look at the courthouse structural integrity for a while. The courthouse is still in good structural shape, but but we have some work to be done, and the recommendation is that we need to get the structure repaired. The state has allocated $500,000 for that project. We would propose using ARPA funds for the balance of that, though we will request and see if the state can help us with this year's funding as well. So the estimate of that project was about $1.3 million when we got the engineering firm's first look at it. It does require us to hire an architectural engineering firm to do a design for the structural integrity of the courthouse. There is a contract in your document package. It's the second one down. It is from JMR+H. It's the same firm that is doing the HVAC architectural design for the courthouse. It would follow the same prescribed work as the manner of work that they did for the HVAC for the courthouse, and they would work to support us throughout the process, to include putting bids on the street, reviewing bids, and staying with the project and project management until completion of the project. Also in the packet is a proposal for our architectural engineering design. It's a professional services contract, the same kind of contract as just discussed, but for the Liberty Lane project. We're at the point where to proceed forward with these two projects, we do need to get engineering, architectural designs, and a bid package to put on the street for the two projects. So, any discussion? Now, let me open it up first with the courthouse structural projects. Any comments, questions, discussion?
No, I'm super excited that the state allocation is there, and hopefully, based on what we find, it'll do what we need to secure the building. I do have a question about what's committed and what's available. Am I just missing it? Where is the extra water money?
I'm sorry?
The extra water money.
It's part of the $2 million that you see committed up there.
Okay.
When
All
we
right.
committed $2 million to water projects, we
So-
committed that amount of money.
So we pulled Wanville out, we voted to pull Pisgah out. and we
Yep.
got this
So
together.
roughly, we've already allocated roughly $757,000 of that $2 million. Okay, any other questions? So before us tonight is to whether to put this project, the structural project engineering professional services contract on agenda for approval at our next meeting. Any comment about that? Proposed proceeding? Okay.
Will they be able to come to us and kind of detail what?
They will, the same way that we have gone through the HVAC process, they will come through us for a 35%, a 65%, and a 95% design approach, and get our approval before they put anything on the street for bid. Okay? Next is the Liberty Lane project. Again, we need to have architectural design, and so there's a professional services contract proposal that we have. Again, JMR plus H Architects to do that work. They have taken a look at the Liberty Lane project as before, and so they understand the project and what we're trying to accomplish with our Liberty Lane project. So again, this is a proposal that they have submitted, same process that they've gone through with us before. So is there any issue with putting this architectural design professional services contract on the agenda for new business for our next meeting? Any comment?
I'm good with no objection.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be new business next meeting. Okay, with that, we now proceed to next item in the work session, Public Works. We have a number of items: contract employee, County Road 74, local road selection, and Rebuild Alabama grant selection. So, turn it over to our county engineer, Mr. Campbell. I would offer that those that do not, you don't have to stay for everything. You can get your item is gone. And,
Probably big old bag over here. I don't know what else.
Yeah, he may be in a while.
Refreshments,
Yeah.
Maybe.
okay.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Pardon my voice.
We appreciate you.
Of
Now's
course,
the time to get out.
everybody's so.
He gave you a chance.
I'll be working from the packet labeled Public Works, and it's business is stacked up for sometimes, due to the meeting schedule and the transition. I apologize for that, but I'll try to work as quick as I can to get through this. And the first item is labeled Post-Retirement Employment Contract. This has been mentioned before. It'll be new to Commissioner Gully and Commissioner Kennemer, unless you've watched the video. We learned some time back that a critical component to our operation has reached the 25-year mark and intends to retire. That retirement date is set for the end of January, and we're thankful for the loyalness and dedication of the years of service, but we're also very thankful to announce that this employee is willing to stay on part-time and help us train a replacement. So it's a fairly lean operation, office and administration-wise, on the duties that this occupies, and it was better described before it was changed as our office manager. So I'll get into the details of the post-retirement employment contract, and it's a stone copy of an existing contract we have with names changed and rate of pay, et cetera, changed. So one thing that there was some discussion around last time, and that's the terms of the contract. So it is an exempt contract employee, so exempt part-time contract employee. The employee will be entitled to no benefits other than pay and compensation, and that is for the hours that are worked only. So no type of leave, holiday, sick, annual birthday, etc., or any other employee benefits. The agreement may be terminated by either party without cause with a 30-day notice, or any time on the county's part with cause, obviously, as specified in their personnel policies. Any controversy or claims arising from this would be handled through the standard grievance process, and the rate of pay and compensation is within a few cents of what is earned now, just adjusted to the even dollar amount. The duration of this contract we anticipate to be anywhere from 6 months, being lightning speed fast once we have a person in place, to as potentially as long as 2 years, depending on if we have success in getting the correct person in and it all working out, and training progresses as we anticipate. It would be basically what we're asking for your consideration is that you would be essentially leaving this contract duration at our discretion at the department to facilitate the training with a replacement and terminate this sometime within that time frame that we anticipate, but would ultimately be as we see fit on where we're at as far as that replacement goes.
Okay, any questions?
All right. So my question is I guess more for Bob, but you as well. Is this money available in your budget for the employee?
So as you all probably are aware, we have multiple vacancies that exist and have existed for some time. We seldom ever are completely full throughout the duration of the year. So the anticipated cost of this is less than $25,000 per year.
Okay.
So we're looking at half of a full-time position, entry-level full-time position.
And what is the criteria you're going to use to terminate this contract?
To terminate this contract would be when we are satisfactorily trained and capable. So a lot of that's going to rest with this person that's going to be doing the training and providing feedback on where we are in that process. There are several items that this position is in control of that are annual. So 2 of those have just completed that are major. The budget process this is involved with, and an annual is also audits, inventory and audits. So those are critical items that occur only one time throughout the year. So to be certain that those will need to occur and be present, that may not necessarily have to be the case, but it may be that we need to have a hands-on once through to make sure everything's good.
John, what's the entry-level salary for the person we're hiring for this position? Do you have that handy?
I don't have the pay scale with me, but I can get that to you.
Okay.
Okay, do you need this on the next meeting agenda for new business?
So, as we presented before, we kind of laid out 2 options as request or for consideration. One was, this would be the first choice. The next choice would be if we could go ahead and backfill the position, and then obviously we would have 2 folks in place that would be full-time and that training could be occurring. But since we're in close proximity to the end of January now, the timeline to do that, really, we feel like this is really our only option. So if this meets with your approval, that would be great, but we would intend to, if approved, begin this to coincide with the retirement date that's planned. So, we would start the advertisement process and the solicitation for an employee at the time to coincide with the retirement date of this employee. So just as long as we are, tracking for that end of January.
So both the new employee and this position would coincide with
the end of January
retirement.
So
yes,
we posted your posted salary?
Yes, so it will go out. It will go out just like a standard county vacancy where advertisement is posted.
Okay. So, any objection to putting it on the new business agenda for next meeting? Okay. Next item.
Thank you. So hopefully in your packet, the next item is a titled construction agreement for state public road project bridge funding. It should look like this. And we have, sometime back, we have been presented this opportunity to participate in cooperation with the state of Alabama, or ALDOT, for a resurfacing project on County Road 74. The limits of this project are from old US 72, County Road 209, State Route 277 to the Alabama-Tennessee state line near Bridgeport. The first document that you see is the standard agreement to receive SD funds. It lays out the estimated cost, or at least the cost at the time this was considered and approved, and the state share and the county share. The estimate at the time was $260,000. That's listed on the front page of this. And the distribution of funding would be half from the state and half from the county. We have some requirements that must be met on the county's part to agree to and to receive these funds. That would include all the project engineering, plan development, authorization by the state before we could begin this project, as well as commitment to the funds that are mentioned to fulfill this project. Anything in excess of the funds that were agreed to or the estimate that was done at the time would be borne by the county to satisfy project completion, as well as any right-of-way acquisition. Obviously there'll be statements that we have to assert that we have all the right-of-way, no utility relocations will be realized, or any additional scope other than resurfacing from this project, which none of which is anticipated. There's a resolution provided if we intend to acquire these funds and pursue this project. That resolution is provided for your review and listed on page 8. There are some standard contract provisions that follow page 8. I would like to draw your attention to the estimates that are after that, the agreement documents that are listed. And you will see there that estimate was performed 12/15/21, and the total for that estimate is $258,218.71, which was rounded to the 260, which was the basis basically of that estimate. So in August of 21, we accept annual bids for next year's paving items, or annual bids, or in-place pavement annual bids. And a revised estimate, we have recently performed a revised estimate applying the updated costs. So there has been a change in what we anticipate the cost of this project to be. And just as a reminder, in the agreement, anything in excess of the 260, we would be responsible for taking care of. So the new estimate is dated 11/28/22, and it follows the one I just mentioned, and it's $313,823.05. So if we intend to pursue this project, and it's approximately 1 mile, then we'll be looking at about $184,000 to resurface this project. The items that we anticipate to satisfy this project are listed, and we feel like that's a good number that's listed on 11/28/22 estimate. Following that are some photos of the project just for your reference, as well as ADT traffic counts, which are in excess of 1,200 cars per day. So we'll look at some documents in further discussion on different projects that we talk about tonight, about our hot mix network of roads. It's the smallest percentage of our network of infrastructure, and it has a dedicated funding source. And so we have some fairly good data on the years of last resurfacing, ADT numbers that are within those projects, and we'll look at how those shake out when we do other project selection. So this 1,200 ADT count can come into play, and you'll see this project again in the final list and our inventory of hot mix projects when we look at our network management. So even if this project were not pursued, it's still in our bank of projects that we're trying to get our hand around and manage. So I would offer that this is an opportunity to almost a half price project that would help our overall program.
Okay, any comments, questions?
Is this a total road paving?
It's a resurfacing project, yes, sir. It will have a structural overlay, not a pavement preservation.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So a little over 1,200 cars per day traveling this road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the ALDOT has considered keeping this open until, so we need to make a decision here pretty soon on what we're gonna do with this, or this opportunity goes away, as I understand.
Yes, I don't read a deadline necessarily in this literature, but they are inquiring about our intent to move forward with this.
I've had the same inquiries about when are we gonna make a decision on this.
Mr. Chairman, this is a very highly trafficked road up in my district, my area, and there's a brand new housing development going just right across the line that's going in right now, so the traffic count will be even higher. It's a brand new subdivision be planned there.
Okay.
They're doing the site work on that now. I would really like to see us move forward with this project.
Okay, so we will put it on new business agenda for next week. Any objection to that?
I will add, if we could please look at the funding. So the additional funding source, we would request that to come from somewhere other than Public Works. So the very last sheet in your packet is the current cash balance of Fund 100 and Fund 111. If it were to come from Public Works, if that Fund 111, our general operating fund, would be the source that would have to come from. And we still have a $250,000 obligation to this past year's resurfacing projects that must come from there that has not been taken out. So as you consider this project, please consider a funding source as well.
So in funding, you need all of the county share to come from somewhere?
It would be $184,000.
$184,000.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we need to move on with this, so we need to make a decision, so one way or the other. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is local roads.
So you should find a packet that's tabulated, and it's broken down per district, and I need to do some explaining. This has been before the commission several times, and it's difficult. It's not necessarily difficult to validate that there's worthy projects and they warrant work. It's difficult to decide what not to do. So the last discussion that we had, and I'll just start with that, and we can back up further if needed, but we looked at funding levels and where there was some comfort there and what the possibilities were. And I believe the discussion was last left at approximately a 20-mile total. Now, there's obviously more than 20 miles collectively displayed on this list. And that's generally in the past been kind of shared per district. So the way these recommendations come to you are from an annual review to where we essentially divide up and we review all the roads within the district. The ones that are basically worst are identified and listed, and the details that you see on this sheet are captured and provided to you. We, under no circumstance, are offended if these need to change, if the order needs to change, if the roads need to come off and some others need to go on. This is just the way we see it as what is a good priority or a starting point for your review and discussion. So things that are a little hard to measure, such as roadside density, through roads versus dead ends, bus and mail traffic, etc. Some of those things are gauged and engineeringly judged, but may not represent your priorities, and we understand that. So with all those disclaimers, there are some changes that were made along this list as discussions were had among this body. So I'll just kind of touch on that briefly. District 1, I'll start with District 1. You can see the list of roads there, the lengths, the cost, and then a description basically just to kind of give you some idea on where you're at. The mileage is not even compared District 1, District 2, District 3, and District 4. There was a request in District 2 for the priorities in which you see, and then there was an addition made later for 21 to be added in. And that's a 1 mile section of 21, and that is from 79 to basically the first sharp curve, or 1 mile. The others, 28, 165, and 130 were there, but those fields were not populated because it's obviously almost, twice the distance as represented in the others. That was done just to show options on choosing. So not to say that there's twice the amount of work needed in District 2 versus the others. District 3, some priorities were rearranged based on the request from Commissioner Buckner, and we appreciate that. District 4, to be 100% clear, 107 and 307 are not in your district. So you benefit from having fewer roads than the others, and a lot of them in better condition. So you're punished a little there. 107 and 307 really straddle your district line, and I think that's around Mill Creek.
Right.
Commissioner McBride, but we put those on you just because we felt like, that it's close enough that in hopes that you would see it that way too, but you don't necessarily have to.
107.
107 in Scotland.
Yes, and it's east and west is kind of how we refer to that. And in your photos, you'll see this is the Fork Mountainside. So from 25, yes sir, yes sir. So you're teetering on Mill Creek there, but it's. I believe if we got down to the nitty gritty and had a GIS system, we would see that it's not in your district. Okay, that's not near the information you need to look at all this. Oh, so the length is there, the resurfacing cost is there, and then the photos are there for your reference. The last discussion, and Chairman, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think we landed at the 25 miles, which would bring us to near 1.3 million, which we were considering at least looking at 500,000 perhaps from the general fund, 500 from ARPA, and then 300,000 material-wise would come from Public Works.
So let me comment on that. With the budget that we approved, and we'll just sort of give a status of budget for roads. With the budget that we approved for our 2023 budget, there was only $310,000 in that budget for roads, and that was for the material that Jonathan mentioned. Any other funding for roads is going to have to come from other sources. And so we do have some opportunity in ARPA for an allocation of funding for roads, some amount. That is listed on your sheet there. And we can look at our cash balance for some funding for roads. The idea is that we would need to find about $1 million to go with the $310,000 for the 20 to 25 miles of roads that we would want to get done. So that's one option for our 2023 plan of finding funds for roads. And to be candid, we cannot continue to work roads out of this commission of taking money out of our cash balance in ARPA because of the projects that we need to get done with ARPA funds. So we need to also start to think about other sources of funding. One source of funds is the state has set aside or set up a program that allows counties, individual counties, to bond their Rebuild Alabama funds. And you can bond up to $6 million. The payback of that comes from the Rebuild Alabama funds that the county gets and 7-cent funds that the county gets. You can take no more than half of the rebuild, and you can't take no more than 1/3 of the 7-cent. We've had a look at, and we need to bring it before the commission, what that would mean to bond $6 million. We can bond any amount we want up to $6 million. The bond would be for a 15-year period. The annual cost of debt service would be about $570,000 annually. Our current rebuild Alabama is about, correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, about a little over $1 million.
Yes, sir.
So we would not use all of our rebuild money to service the debt, annual debt. We would still have rebuild money to put into roads. We would not have to use any of our 7 cent funds that we get, that we've used for roads. So that is an option for us. That would allow us to get $6 million and get to work on road projects in this county and get them done at a much faster rate than we can get if we take $1 million every year. And the idea here is, if we could do that, are we in a better position than annual funding of $1 million and letting inflation eat up the $1 million? Or do we get the $6 million and get the road work done? I'm not saying it very well, but that's the option that we have. That is a source of funding for roads.
So Jonathan, with that infusion of money coming in, would you all be able to increase your output or contract more out? I mean, what would that look like for us as far as getting these lists down?
It would depend on a couple of things. Primarily, it would depend on the classification of roads in which those funds would be applied to. So to explain a little further, just to be clear, this list before you tonight is local roads. So those are roads in which there are no allocated funding sources other than extra general fund, funds like the chairman's discussing, where there's obligation from not our operating fund, but the general fund. The only dedicated sources of funding that exist now are Rebuild Alabama and Federal Aid Exchange Fund. Collectively, that's $1.4 million. And to date, at least recent, all those have been used on our hot mix network of roadways. Major minor collectors or SD projects like the one we're considering on 74 that have been paved and resurfaced with hot mix. So currently, the $1 million and the $400,000 are all going to that part of our network. So if we stay in the same lane with that and we advance those funds and we have a nest egg to spend, then I think so. I think we can, if we choose a lot of preservation, perhaps, when we look at our distribution of good, fair, poor, and we look at our network on how to get that smaller part of our network that serves more of our residents under control, utilizing contract forces, I think could be possible there. When we look at local roads and we look at roads like you're looking at the photos of, it takes a lot of prep work to get those prepared and ready to resurface. That's best done with our folks as far as the prep work. And then utilizing a contractor to come in and chip seal those, it's a lengthier process. So I'm not sure I answered you totally, but it really depends on which top roads and the top work we choose to do with that money.
Right. No, I understand that, and so I mean the thing that I would like to get to is for us to start to get ahead as much as we can, so we're not just waiting on roads to fall apart. I mean, literally, I've been on, not all, but just about every one of these roads, and they're all in terrible shape, to say the least. And so, at some point in time, we need to stem the tide on that. And so, whether that comes from more road preservation and thus avoiding this, or some kind of catch-up project, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by what the chairman has presented as far as getting an infusion of money so that we can get ahead. But I'd like to see what exactly that's going to look like for you, as far as if we do this list of roads or that list of roads, or part of this, or start with some preservations or multiple recommendations on your part.
hopefully when we get into the next topic, Rebuild Alabama grant, I have the data that I included previously when we looked at our Rebuild Alabama project selection. It's a little more detailed in condition and data on our existing hot mix network. And I think if you look at that data, the way it's categorized in good, fair, poor, and we look at the application of something like $5 or $6 million and where we would want to put that in, which category, then you can see how that could change. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't believe $5 or $6 million is going to fix all our local roads and take care of our hot mix network. And we haven't even discussed bridges.
No, there's never anything thought of that $5 or $6 million is going to handle the roads in Jackson County. It's not going to happen.
Well, I certainly think that we're going to have to do things differently, and,
Yes.
and we're going to have to stop looking at 20 miles or 15 miles of road a year and thinking we're going to catch up and get them on a rotation of any sort that'll make a difference.
If you think about 20 miles, we don't get roads serviced in over 50 years.
Right.
In Jackson
We don't
County.
have the road.
It will not happen.
We need to be touching 13 or 14 miles of hot mix every year, and we need to be touching 50 miles of chip seal every year. And we need to be taking down a bridge or two.
That's to just catch up. And
That's just to do what we need to do, to deliver the mail.
But you said we done 40 this last year?
We did over 40, but that was some leftover from the year before, and then we had a 22 plus mile local road program.
Yeah.
And it was more than a year. We just, and there's still some lingering. We've got a couple to wrap up in the spring.
But again, I just have to be candid. There's no way that, given funding as it currently stands, that we can support a road program that's going to get anywhere near 20 miles if we're having to take money out of other sources than the fundings that we're getting into the county. It's just being honest with everybody, being honest with our citizens. We're going to have to look at this very closely, I think, come up with some strategies on roads and how we approach funding and how we approach the allocation of funding to roads as we move forward in the future. So with that, we do have the list, and I would suspect that each of you have gotten calls on other roads you may want to take a look at as well to be considered. I know I have, but this is the recommended list from Public Works, but you as commissioners need to look at roads in your district. And Jonathan, let me ask you a question. We have put this off to this point. We need to make a decision pretty soon. We need to do a vote at some point on the road program for 2023. When do you need us to make that vote? To give commissioners a chance to get out and look at roads and come back with a recommendation?
So that would put us in motion on prepping roads, which is the process that we would start and not stop. So as soon as the decisions are made, 189, as far as the prep work, reclamation, being ready to resurface, it'll have to be touched up. That was the last project, and we've completed that prep work. So they're doing other things and they're not twiddling their thumbs, but should we have a list soon, we would start immediately on preparing those for the upcoming.
So we got about 3 weeks to the next meeting. Everybody okay with taking a look in that period of time and bringing back a recommendation on roads for your district?
I will add, and I'll leave this, you may have additional questions about roads that are not on that list, and I may have information on that. I'll probably have additional pictures of the roads that are on the list, know that we do. Have notes from the reviews, have a map here today, so I'm willing to stay and discuss, or whatever we need to do if it'll help get you started on that review. So just know that.
Next, Rebuild Alabama grant. Oh, let me back up just a minute. I would propose bringing the organization that is working for the state on bonding Rebuild Alabama funds, let them give an explanation to the commission about that process, and so that we're informed as to whether or not we want to proceed with that. So I'll work to set something up for that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Jonathan.
The next thing will be, should look like another summary sheet, tabulation like this. And those are projects that we offer up for your consideration for an annual grant. And there's a $10 million pool that was created. This is part of the 2019 Rebuild Alabama Act that was passed. And it's an applicant opportunity for us. The maximum funding available, if selected, is $250,000, and the eligibility is for any classified public road and bridge. So we have applied in years past unsuccessfully. We've even had conversations with AlDOT about the applications and had favorable words and felt really good about one of the projects that's relisted on this page, County Road 47. It was approved and supported by the commission, and then we didn't make the cut. So it is a competitive process, and the details on that are competitive project selection process. We know it's done by committee, and we know they like skin in the game, but as far as criteria, it's any road and bridge project. So how did we arrive at the projects we have listed on the paper? It's what I would hope to drill into. So we have two categories, starting with that first sheet: resurfacing and pavement preservation. County Road 18 is listed for resurfacing, 19, 260, and 47 for preservation. The next sheet is the recent project selection list that was given to the commission when Rebuild Alabama and Federal Aid Exchange projects were chosen. This was just prior to the change. The following data was what drove those projects. And these are the tabulated sheets with colors. And this is what I was referring to earlier, Commissioner Buckner, about the hot mix network of projects that are out there and the projects that we have that have more data that we manage. So you'll notice information on these projects such as last year's paved, years since it's been paved, ADT, percent truck traffic, and then some notes that we've had there for studying. But I'll just draw your attention to the two categories in colors, and that's basically the good, fair, poor, or the green, yellow, red. So 0 to 7 years, 8 to 15 years, and 16 plus years. When you look at the difference of that and the breakdown, there's about 43% of our network that's in the yellow or fair condition. So when we look at stretching our dollars, if we are applying it to projects to where we're preventing okay roads from going to bad, where there's exponential cost in repairing those, and we're delaying that resurfacing cost, ideally all the time while we're working on the bad, at least a project or two, then we're moving our program forward. And we're definitely getting more bang for the buck when we consider preservation versus resurfacing. Some are just so bad, they're just too far gone, okay? So, all that said, basically these are good candidates of the leftovers from what you picked on Rebuild Alabama and Federal Aid Exchange. And they fit nicely with the price tag, okay? So what we're trying to do is go back and revisit this list of our hot mix network and the options that were provided in Rebuild Alabama and Federal Aid Exchange, and look at what was not selected and what fit nicely with either the price tag. We included County Road 47 because we got a soft that's going to make it, but it's expensive, as you see. And then 18 is in there because it's a critical route. It's a smaller project. It's a smaller price tag. It's high ADT. And all those items are listed. So the road's listed, the description's listed, the length of the project is listed, the ADT is listed there, and what we estimate the construction amount to be is listed. Just notice, please, that resurfacing for $374,000, we get a mile and a quarter. If we do pavement preservation, we're almost double that for a little less even, okay? So all of those things have to consider. County Road 47, that's College Road. Okay, when we read this grant a couple years ago, and we read competitive selection process. We considered things like, we have a school on each end, one being a college. There's a Dollar General on each end. There's service stations on each end. There's an Invest Prep site on County Road 47 that abuts the Northeast Community College property. We've got 1,500 cars a day, and when we could afford this and pave it, we did it all in one project. And to think about doing that now, you know, brings us some major pause on how are we going to afford to resurface this thing for 5 miles and be able to afford it. So at that time, that's why we selected that, and our cash balance was a lot healthier too, I'll add. But we thought, okay, we're in this thing for 200 and something thousand. That's definitely skin in the game, and if they'll give us 250, we're off and running, and we've got a vital route preserved. So we listed it again, but like the other stuff, if you pick that one, we're going to have to figure out the dollars, and it's a lot there. 260, that's not the case. 19, that's not the case either. And then 18, it's a lot of cars. 373,000, we're still going to have to come up with some money, and I don't think you're going to want it to come from 111 from Public Works.
So question, we dealt with Rebuild Alabama, our program, about a month and a half ago. We selected 8, 33, and 67.
Yes, sir.
But 33, you have just about completed that.
Yes, sir.
Where are we on 8, 67 at this time?
The Passion is done on 8. It still lacks a scrub seal to seal everything, wear and surface in the valley, and then a pavement preservation micro surfacing on the mountainside. County Road 67 has not started.
Okay, and that was really just preservation on 67.
67 is a pavement preservation project.
Pavement
Yes, sir.
preservation. So now we're looking at the next iteration of rebuild. Is that what we're...
Well, this is just a grant opportunity from the
Okay.
state. Yeah, it's a $250,000 grant, but depending on what project we choose, we'll obviously have to.
Excuse me, I missed that.
Well, I said a lot of, I didn't say it very good.
And so you're recommending these 4 roads for the grant?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Or, if you'd rather, any of the, I mean, you could really close your eyes and put your finger down, you know.
Well, and I have a question. Did we not just do 88B as well
Which one?
on the pavement preservation?
71 to 58, no.
So that's the other side of the road?
The other side,
Okay.
yes.
Because all right. Because
This is the-
we did 88 to the county line.
We did
Yeah.
71 to Henniger, but this is 71 to Pisgah.
Okay.
So grant schedule, do we have a deadline on this grant?
No, it has not been released for 2023 yet.
Okay, and there's no matching requirement on this grant. This is 100% grant?
Correct. They do give preference if you have a matching fund, but it's not a requirement.
Okay.
Oh, are we talking about this same one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so our applications must be in by January 14th, 2022. It
Okay.
should be on the, I don't know if you have the document.
All right, so we need to make a decision before the end of December for sure. Probably best to make that decision next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll put it on the agenda for new business next meeting. Okay, and so here are the candidates. Okay? Any other comment?
Real quick, where we at on the gap?
Huh?
Geotech, so it's still the same status that I gave last time about the final review. That's still, senior review on the engineering reports are still occurring, as I've been assured. And they've also told me that we could expect a finalized report the 1st of December. So,
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Next is
Thank you.
Revenue Commission contract employee.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have the opportunity to hire one of our temporary employees that we've had for a year. The county has a policy that you can't hire somebody for a temp for more than a year. This gentleman has been hired to do our digital sketches in the mapping and appraisal department. What that is we have 43,000 parcels in Jackson County. 30,000 of them have buildings. Most of those buildings were hand-drawn on the back of our PRC cards. Well, we're not in 1976 anymore, so we've decided to get those digitized and put on our website, so when you go and click on a parcel on the website, you see a digital sketch of the buildings on that property. We're about 5,000 away from finishing that, so less than a year for this gentleman. But there's also a need in mapping and appraisal for clerical work to do the loading when the appraisers go out to the field and measure the buildings and get all that information plugged into our system. We've done without a clerk for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's a struggle sometimes for our appraisers to come in and do that work themselves. We're looking to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, finish our drawings and hire somebody to be a clerk as well. And then this contract for this gentleman, we feel like it would be best interest for the mapping and appraisal department to do that. He's a post-retirement. This will be a post-retirement contract for this gentleman. We'd also, if it could be possible, this gentleman's temporary contract runs out this week. So if we could set the rules aside to make a vote to do this week, we won't have a lapse and we don't have to worry about that. Anybody have any questions?
So the hourly rate is $15 an hour?
Yes, sir.
Do you expect a number of hours per?
Yes, sir. He would be paid per hour he works, probably around 20 to 30 hours a week.
And that's about what he's doing now?
Yes, sir.
Consistent with
Yes,
what
sir.
we've done?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any questions?
Just for clarification, you're wanting to continue the work that he's doing with helping digitize the...
Correct, and also adding other duties to his job.
Okay, that's where I was confused. So you're
Right.
not looking to hire another person?
No,
you're
no,
just
sir.
having-
We're going to
okay.
have him finish the drawings up and also help with the loading of all the appraisal information that comes in, and also general duties in the office.
Okay, any other questions? So your request is we set the rules aside?
Yes, sir,
to,
because his contract, his temporary contract ends, I think, tomorrow. Instead of having a lapse till mid-December, we'd like to go ahead and get that voted on, if you
Okay.
gentlemen would be.
Do I have a motion to set the rules aside to approve post-retirement employment contract for Revenue Commissioner Department?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve post-retirement employment contract for the Jackson County Revenue Commission Department?
I make the motion that we do the post-retirement employment contract.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, I think that concludes our work session business. We do have a requirement to go into executive session later, but before that, let me, reports from the staff, county administrator,
Nothing, sir.
county engineer,
Nothing, sir, thank you.
okay, county attorney,
Nothing, thank you.
Welcome to the meeting, John.
Thank you, sir.
okay. Any other members of the county staff? Thanks. With that, we'll proceed with comments from the commission. District 4, Commissioner McBride.
Really nothing to add other than I appreciate all the work that our employees have been doing to help our county to grow and move forward. I know that we're coming to a point where we're going to have to make some pretty drastic decisions and make some changes on how we're doing things, or we're not going to be able to catch up. I mean, so be with us in prayer as we make those decisions. I hope that we can do what we can to move our county forward in a positive way and as quickly as possible.
Okay, District 3, Commissioner Buckner.
Nothing to add except happy Thanksgiving.
District 2, Commissioner Kilmer.
I have nothing.
District 1, Commissioner Gully.
We're just working toward the close of the year, and hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. Just happy to be here.
Okay. Comments from me is, this has been a long meeting. We had a lot on the agenda today for first long meeting of our new commissioners, and they don't typically all run this long, but I really appreciate the time spent by the staff to get ready for this and the work of the commissioners regarding our agenda today. So with that, at this time, the next meeting date will be December the 12th, 2022 at 5 o'clock in the evening. At this time, do I have a motion to go to executive session to discuss potential litigation?
I'll make the motion, we go into executive session.
Do I have a second? Second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.